2026, eh? Here we are. It's a new year. And I wanted to start making YouTube videos for a while now, but I just couldn't get the guts to do it. I've been doing a lot of reading this year, and honestly, I feel like reading is so bad. I'm a sucker for ranking videos. So I read 12 books, and I'm gonna rank them from worst all the way up to best. My number one pick might surprise you. So yeah, the video's gonna start now. So number 12, dead last, we have Lost Girls by Andrew Pyper. We could have had it all. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Basically, I've been a huge Andrew Pyper fan since high school. I think you could probably say that he's my favorite author. I read all of his other books for a school project back in high school. I literally traveled around my entire city trying to get my hands on every single book he wrote. I went to all the different libraries. I had to order certain books to certain libraries. I think the project was like a spotlight on an author, but you didn't have to read all of their books. I was so dramatic as a teenager. Where did I get all that energy? What the hell? And I was able to find every single one except this one. And so it was always kind of like an unresolved thing in the back of my mind. I was like, where is it? Where is Lost Girls? The first one I read was The Killing Circle, and that was amazing. Highly recommend that one. The Demonologist and The Damned are also up there for sure. Really good books, really disturbing, horrifying, all that. Really well written, wonderfully hilarious, clever. Yeah, it's got it all. So some years later, I was in a bookstore with one of my best friends, and I saw it. But it was $9 whole. And listen, I just didn't have that. My friend bought it for me. You know who you are. I'm really grateful, and honestly, I think this was back in 2018, I want to say. And it sat on my shelf unread all this time, and I finally took her out, blew the dust off of her, cracked her open, and I thought, let's just see what happens. First of all, I really liked the story. I thought the mystery itself, it's basically a murder mystery. These two girls go missing, and our main character is a defense lawyer named Bartholomew Christian Crane. Don't you hate him already? That's something I really admire about this book, is that he made his main character, his first ever main character, a totally hateable jerk. And he did it really well. And I was still along for the ride with this character. I was still compelled by him. It's just, he sucks. So much. So I liked that. I thought that was a big swing for your first book, and I thought it was effective. And as a certified Torontonian from Toronto, Andrew Pyper personally attacks me constantly by making the most horrific, grotesque events go down in intersections that I know like the back of my hand. He's permanently ruined several places in my city, which I do not appreciate. I'm kidding, I kind of love it. But this time, with Lost Girls, he went a step further and defiled the site of my childhood summer camp, Georgian Bay. Are you kidding? Seriously? Unbelievable. That just felt so personal. How did he know? There's that too. I thought it was really funny. I laughed out loud a lot, especially at the beginning. About the resolution and the reveals and everything were all really great. I thought his main suspect, the main sort of scary guy in the book, was done really, really well. But that's where my positive comments end, unfortunately. Because this book was janky as fuck. I don't think I've ever read a book that was this amateurish. it's to be expected. I mean, it's his first ever full-length novel, but still, like, I was kind of shocked. There's a lot of pointless exposition. Some entire chapters just didn't need to be in the final cut whatsoever. There were scenes where he was focusing so much on how a character was like uncomfortably leaning on the desk and how they kept like changing their posture because they were uncomfortable leaning on the desk. It was like, why are we talking about this? Like, Andrew, there are more important things at hand. We don't need to be focusing on this. But I still think that overall it was an effectively done book. I still enjoyed reading it, and I feel really accomplished, and it feels like I kind of tied up some loose ends with myself by finally reading the last book. Now I've officially read all of his books. I don't think it was a total waste of time to read this, but there is a reason I put it dead last, and it's just like the glaring issues with the writing itself. And I don't think I would recommend this one just because Andrew Pyper has so many better books. Like, literally just read The Killing Circle. Okay, next up, at number 11, we have The Law of Light by Lars Muhl. Okay, this book is part of, it's kind of its own micro genre. It's basically a random person will decide that they alone know what Jesus' teachings really meant. Isn't that wonderful? Like, and all of these different books that people have published about the true teachings of Jesus are all different. They all sincerely believe that they've really cracked the code. Only took 2,000 years. We're there now, and it's because of Lars Muhl. There are lots of books like this, and these views are usually considered heretical by like the mainstream Christian churches. Some of them receive these teachings through having like a spiritual experience with Jesus. Others take a more scholarly sort of approach, but it's usually just a matter of opinion, and it's absolutely not what Jesus was teaching at all. I do like the way that Lars comes at this issue, because it's not just like, oh, I had a vision of Jesus and he told me to be a vegetarian. Like, it's not that, but it definitely has aspects of that in it. Like, he does believe that, by the way, that Jesus wants you to be a vegetarian. Among other things, you know, he seems to believe that, and that Mary Magdalene was actually a very important central character, and that she may have been a sort of female messiah of sorts herself, which is really interesting, and it's like a take you don't really see very often. Like, I don't see a lot of men in the theology world, like, getting that excited to sort of like talk about women in a way that like we can be divine too or anything. So it was kind of cool, and like he honestly seems like he has his heart in the right place. I think he is sincere. I did get that, but I still think that there's major flaws in the way he goes about presenting his arguments. So basically, if you don't know, the earliest copies we have of the Gospels, stories of Jesus' life, are in Greek. But the thing is, Jesus likely spoke a language called Aramaic that is a dying language, but it's still spoken today. The Gospels that are in Aramaic, if they exist, we don't have them, unfortunately. So Lars, a Danish man, tries to translate the Gospels into Aramaic. But the thing is, I don't think he has like a totally solid grasp of the Aramaic language. Like, he's obviously not a native speaker of it. And he does this thing a lot of people do when they're attempting to translate things, even though they don't know the language that they're translating it into. You'll kind of assume that if a word has multiple meanings, like, it has all of the meanings at once, and that like he kind of falls victim to that thought where it's like, oh, Aramaic is just so much more like complex than like any other language, and it just like encapsulates like so much more than like we can ever know. There's always a gap in translation, but it just felt like he was trying to make the words mean what he wants them to mean. Honestly, at its core, this book is bullshit. But I still really enjoyed it. I liked his take. The way it was written was really beautiful. There were no issues with the actual writing itself. And I feel like I learned something new. Like, it was really cool seeing him blend this Christian theology, which is basically Greek thought and Jewish thought mixed together, with Buddhist thought and New Agey ideas too. Like, it felt very universal. And I do love a good heretic, but it's kind of bullshit. Like, the book is bullshit. That being said, like, it wasn't terrible, but you know, if you want to know like actually good information about like what the Gospels taught and stuff, like, skip this one. It's fine. Oh my god. Fuck yeah. I don't know how to make a video. Okay. Number 10. The Way of the Sufi. This was a random book that I found at the library, and I decided to take it out because I've been really interested in Christian theology this year, and I haven't really delved into Islam as much, but I really kind of wanted to. And Sufism, if you don't know, is I have a little bit of trouble understanding fully, but I'll try to explain it. Basically, it's like an aspect of Islam. It's like the mystical aspect. Like, these are mystics, these are people who really try to connect with God, and they try to attain hidden knowledge that you can find from actually communing with God. Rumi, the poet, he was a Sufi, and if you're like me, you knew of Rumi. You might have seen like quotes from him floating around the internet. Apparently he was a Sufi, and I never knew that. But this book is basically like a breakdown of Sufism, the history of it, the different sects of it, popular and notable figures from Sufism and their writings. And it was kind of a cool look into a different world. Like, again, I haven't really delved into Islam yet. A lot of the Sufis talk about the other religions, and they kind of impose like a unifying framework on all of the religions. I think that's like probably closer to the truth than a lot of people who have this very narrow-minded view. I did enjoy some of the poems quite a bit. Like, I'll put a couple of them on the screen now to just kind of show you. Like, you could pause if you want to read them. There were 3 poems that I took pictures of because I really, really liked them. A lot of it genuinely went over my head, and it's so frustrating because the author literally told me that would happen, and I didn't listen. I was like, no, I'm different. Like, I'll get it. But the author was basically like, you Western people with your Western sensibilities, like, you'll never understand. You just don't get it. Like, you just don't get it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't get it. Like I was just kind of confused by a lot of it, and I didn't have that much fun reading it, but it made me think, and it made me think about new ideas about theology that I hadn't considered before. I definitely want to like get more into Islam, like dig more into it eventually, even though my interest is primarily Christian theology. It was a solid read. I don't know if I'd recommend it unless you're like into theology and stuff and spirituality, but yeah, it was good. Okay, number 9, we have Isola. I found this one on Libby, and it was one of those skip the line reads where there's like a huge wait list to read an ebook. Don't get me started. And you have an opportunity to borrow it and skip this huge line of people that are waiting to read it. The catch is that you only have 7 days to read it. And then if you're not done yet and you want to keep reading, you're going to be at the bottom of that line and you're going to be waiting a while to finish the book. So it's kind of an all or nothing sort of thing. And I saw this book, I thought it looked kind of cool, and I borrowed it. And I did finish it within 7 days. It's about this young girl who is an orphan. She was higher class. But because she's a young girl and she didn't have any male next of kin, all of her property goes to some dude named Robberball. He basically just exerts control over her. He uses the Bible to abuse her. He withholds her funds from her, and he kind of controls her entire life. And he's just some random guy, but she's not allowed to have access to her own inheritance. And he whisks her off to New France, which actually becomes Canada. It's islands on the east coast of Canada, I believe. She basically ends up somehow in the wilderness, and she somehow finds faith out there and survives. Basically a woman who's been told her entire life that she can't do anything because she's a woman ends up having to survive in the wilderness for a long time, through the winter, polar bears coming for her. And the gag is that all of this is true. This is a true story. This book has got great characters. Robberball, you feel his power and his presence that he has, and you're scared of him and you hate him so much. But the author does something that I really can't stand, which is that she keeps writing. But the author does something that I cannot stand, which is where she basically keeps writing oh, but I had no idea how bad things were gonna get. I know things are gonna get worse before they get better. Please just tell the story. It actually takes me out of the story, because I'm trying to focus on how much worse it's getting. But you keep telling me that it's gonna get worse, and it's I know that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. It annoyed me. Most of the time when I see this happen in books, it's once, but it happened at least 3 times in this one, which is why I'm focusing on it. But the setting is beautiful. The story is really cool, just because it's based on a true story. An actual woman in the 1500s actually survived out there by herself for a year. But I have it at number 9 because it didn't really stick out that much to me. It was just alright. Okay, what number are we at? Number 8. Number 8. Firestarter. This is my very beat up copy that I got from a swap party. I basically went to a party with my friends and we all just swapped stuff that we don't want. And yeah, one of my friends' friends gave me a few Stephen King books, and I had only read Fairy Tale, which is such a weird pull, I feel, for a first Stephen King book. I don't know if I really got the full Stephen King experience from that. It's my first proper scary Stephen King book. I won't lie to you. When I first read this, there is a scene that happens pretty early on in the book that was so fucking scary that I had to put it down for a couple months. If you know, you know. Off the chain. Just crazy. Talk about a bad trip. But then I came back to it, and there's not a scene after that that's anywhere near as scary as that first one. It was just more of a thriller after that. This dad, he took part in this government experiment to test this substance called Lot 6 and what it does to the human brain. It turns out it does a lot of really wacky stuff. And for some of the people, it gave them basically superpowers. After the guy takes it, he has a power that he didn't have before, but it seems to cost him. Every time he uses it, he seems to take damage. And he ends up falling in love with another participant, and they have a kid together named Charlie McGee. And she has powers too, but it doesn't cost her, and she uses it without thinking. And it's very powerful. So the government found out about this, and they're like after her. They want to like capture her and do experiments on her and see if they can either use her as a weapon or like have to eliminate her because she's too powerful. And it's wild. Like, I see the hype around Stephen King. Like, it was good. The main villain, Rainbird, he's very interesting to me. He was extremely scary in some scenes. Like, I could feel the evil through the page. The only thing I'll say is that it just feels like I don't know how Native American people would feel about this character. Like, it just felt kind of weirdly stereotypical, but I still loved Rainbird as a villain. Like, I think he worked very well, and he was very intimidating. And the ending was such a good payoff. This freaking goes crazy. So, it was satisfying. And, yeah, first proper Stephen King book. I have a few others that I also got from that same friend. I have Bag of Bones, I have Pet Cemetery, I have Thinner. I'm definitely going to read those because, yeah, it was a good Stephen King book. And I want to check out the movie too because I know there's a movie with Drew Barrymore as Charlie, and she's perfect. Like, as soon as I saw that there's a movie with her as Charlie, I was sold because everyone knows little Drew Barrymore was just such a firecracker. She's perfect for it. So I kind of want to check that out. So all in all, I had a great experience with this book. Okay, number 7 is Remarkable Creatures. This one I also borrowed on Libby. I wanted to revisit it because I had read it when I was like a young girl, and it was really formative for me. Our main character is Elizabeth Philpott, and she's considered a spinster, which is a word that you don't really hear these days. Basically, it's like you've aged out of being a wife. People used to think that there was something wrong with you if you were married by a certain age. They still do in some areas, in some countries. I'm very lucky that I don't need to deal with that, but a lot of women still do today. Elizabeth has an interest in fossils, and so when she moves to the English countryside, she befriends a lower class young girl named Mary Anning, and they become friends and bond over their shared interest in fossils. And they spend their days combing through the beach looking for fossils, and Mary is extraordinarily talented at finding them. I really like Elizabeth because she has a unique point of view. She's always talking about the fact that people often lead with a certain feature, and she like talks about herself like, I lead with my jaw, like set, and like I look very stern. You know, like she like leads with her jaw type thing. Notices the feature that other people lead with. And she says that Mary leads with her eyes, which makes sense because she's so talented at finding fossils, she's got an eye for it. And Mary ends up discovering an animal that no one had discovered before. It's like an old kind of crocodile, and this book takes place in the early 1900s, I believe, or 1800s, I kind of forget. When Mary discovers this creature, this guy offers to buy it from her, and she says yes. Obviously, she's lower class, she wants the money, and he puts it on display at the museum, and it has his name on it, and it says that he found it. That's kind of a big point that the book makes, is that a lot of women's accomplishments like get stolen by men. This is a real thing that would happen at times throughout history, right? So, and Mary Anning is a real person in history who found a fossil. There is like a certain theme of what does this mean for Christianity. Because if we found a fossil of an animal that doesn't exist anymore, then that must mean that God didn't create the world exactly how it is today. But it's interesting to me because it doesn't break Elizabeth's faith or Mary's. Their worldview shifts to make room for this new information. They go, okay, well, maybe God created things to constantly be changing. The priest of the town, like, didn't know what to make of it. He's like, well, God's testing you, like, he's testing your faith, I don't know. Like, just avoids the topic. It was an interesting look at a couple of strange women who are just marching to the beat of their own drum and doing their own thing, and they don't give a shit what anyone thinks about them. It was actually really cool to me that the historical person, Mary Anning, wasn't the main character. She wasn't the focus. It was kind of Elizabeth's relationship to her, and the fact that even with Mary, she's kind of pushed to the sidelines. Mary's young, like, she's like attracting attention from the men, and Elizabeth does get jealous of her, but she's still like looking out for Mary above all else, and she never stops trying to be a good friend to Mary. But it's an interesting exploration of the fact that Elizabeth is just a product of her own circumstances. Like, back then, having a husband was like basically all being a woman was, and if you don't have a husband, you failed. And back then, women had to be taught to pretend like there's absolutely nothing in their heads. And Elizabeth just couldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. It taught me to pursue greatness no matter what anyone says. To pursue my hobbies and to think that actually I can do anything. You know, the hunting for fossils wasn't really considered very ladylike back then, but they did it anyway. Men tried to steal that from her, which is wild. But history still remembers her as someone who found a fossil that kind of changed science forever. I'm really glad that I revisited it as an adult. In a way, it feels like a vacation. Even though it's in the English countryside, there was probably not a spot of sunshine the entire time. But I don't know, man, just take me back to that beach. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to be on the beach, picking up fossils with Elizabeth and Mary. I don't belong in this world. I need to be on the beach. Not a whole lot actually happens. Like, stuff happens, but like the plot structure of this one is like waves on a beach. The tide comes in and it comes out. It's just a nice little journey. Choosing to do this video has been pretty enlightening because I realized that this story is actually really similar to Isola in a lot of ways. A lot of the same themes, and these books are further down just because this sort of genre, like historical fiction genre, isn't the most interesting to me. But as far as this genre goes, these books were solid, and Remarkable Creatures is definitely higher up because it does have nostalgia value. All in all, I could really rate it higher because I'm not like obsessed with it or anything. But this one was worth rereading. I just don't think I'll read it for a third time. Number 6! Now we're getting into like the good stuff. Empire of the Vampire. Ha 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 ha. This one is a wild ride. Okay, let's get into it. So it's a dark fantasy, and it's a little spicy. It's not PG. Let's just say that. And this one, my aunt found it, like, just in public. And this isn't the first time she's just found a book in public, like at the train station or the airport or something. Like, I don't know how she does that, because here's the thing, she leaves books in public too. Like, if she has a book and she doesn't want it anymore, she'll just leave it in public for someone to find. And she finds books all the time. It's like insane, because I've never ever found a book in public. And I don't know if this is normal. She's given me at least 3 books that she found in public, and I'm so happy she gave this one to me. I tore through it, and it's a fatty. It's a fatty. So our main character is basically what is called a pale blood, and he's a half vampire, half human, which I thought was a cool angle that you don't usually see in vampire books. I really like the way the vampires are classified in this world. Like, this is the first of a series. I don't even know if the second one is published yet, but I'm definitely going to be checking it out. Because holy shit, this was a wild ride. Like, I need to know more. There's 4 main bloodlines of vampires, and they all have like slightly different powers. And then there's some vampires who don't seem to fit into any of those, and they're just kind of like weaker than the other ones because they don't have any special powers related to their bloodline. And it's also interesting because to become a vampire in this one, you do have to be killed by one, but there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to who turns into a vampire and who doesn't. And some people come back a lot further along in the decomposition process than others. Like, vampires that come back as a vampire perfect, they haven't started decomposing yet. They're called high bloods. And then there's like foul bloods. And I still don't know what that means. Because the vampire at the very... Fuck. They only mentioned the word foul blood once more in the entire thing. So I still am confused on that, but I just thought that was kind of cool because in this world, vampires and like zombies are basically the same thing. It's just a matter of how far along in the decomposition process you were when you turned. No, but like there's so much wrong with it too. Like, a lot of the lines are like super cringe. It reads like a 16-year-old like trying to be edgy. It kind of reads like fan fiction to me, and I'm not bashing fan fiction. I've also written cringy fan fiction. You know, if you've ever tried to write like a sarcastic, sassy character, like, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a religious aspect to it. Shocker. I know you all are so surprised that there's a religious aspect. Listen, it's not my fault, like, that every single story is about Christianity. It's not my fault. This book just came to me. Like, I didn't even ask for this. The Redeemer instead of Jesus. The Redeemer was flayed on a wheel instead of crucified on a cross, and priests wear the wheel instead of the cross, and people do the sign of the wheel. I don't know how you do that, but people do the sign of the wheel all the time. Like, there's still homophobia. Like, it's just kind of uncreative. Like, yeah, there's like nuns and stuff, there's like churches, and it's all very Christian, and it's called the One Faith. But yeah, like, I've seen other books do their own religion that's like world specific much better than this. Like, it's literally just Christianity. There's nothing about it that serves to function in this world that J. Kristoff has created here. And I just wish that the religion in it was better adapted and suited to the world it's in. Like, I know he's trying to say something about Christianity too, but you could have changed some of it so that it's not literally just Christianity. I'm so sorry, but if you've read the Da Vinci Code, you do not need to read this book because the plot is literally a absolute ripoff of the Da Vinci Code. The Holy Grail. I'm just gonna say one sentence that's in this book and y'all will know, okay? She was ... his wife. I was like, no, he didn't. I know J. Kristoff did not rip off the actual plot of the Da Vinci Code and think that I wouldn't notice. And you may be like, Mary, why is this rated so high when you have so many issues with it? Listen, it's compelling as fuck. It's exciting. It sucks you in. And I've been yearning for some fiction. Like, I have been enjoying my theology, like, rampage, and I have been enjoying revisiting these, like, cute little, like, historical fiction about women, you know, but, like, I've been yearning for a good fiction that gave me everything I needed. Like, it hits every single trope of this kind of thing so hard. Like, Gabriel, our main character, is like half vampire, half human, and the story takes place, like, it seems at the end of his life, like he's imprisoned, he's about to be executed, and a vampire comes in and he's like, I need you to tell me your entire life story because the Empress wants you to, and you have to tell me everything that happened up until now. So the entire book is like, it has this underlying, like, tension where, like, Gabriel is telling the story to this vampire. The book keeps breaking away from the story that Gabriel's telling to remind us that he's actually in a room with a vampire and that he's probably going to be executed soon. So I liked that too. It added a little extra layer of tension that I feel like benefited the book overall. Yeah, I really loved this one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading the next book in the series. This one was awesome. Highly recommend.
Sup? Editing Mary here. So, don't tell anyone, but CapCut doesn't like when a video gets too long. So I'm just gonna upload this in an exciting 2-part series. So if I can manage to tack this on the end of my video, I will publish part 2 immediately after. So if for some reason you're still here and you want to see the top half, the heavy hitters of my list, then I suggest you stick around.